Okay.
Now, I promise my speech is a little bit more uplifting than it would sound, but the title of my speech is How to Be Alone. Don't let your heart sink, I promise. It'll make sense. Now, whether it's been days, weeks, years, or just a few minutes since you felt lonely and you've been away from company, I know that everyone in this room at some point has been alone. In fact, I think back to my first day at Southeastern. My parents were here and I got my room set up. I hadn't met my roommate yet, but they ended up having to leave. They had to go home. So for the first little bit there, I was alone. I wouldn't call myself lonely, and we'll get to that later, but I was alone. I remember trying to find out where I registered my vehicle and all that stuff. I was alone. I met somebody, the very first person I met at Southeastern, his name was Shay. Shay gives the best high five that I've ever met. Anybody has amazing high fives. Can't describe it. But I was alone until I met somebody. I have two brothers, Jason, who is 10 years older than me, and Michael, who is 6. So that means that from 6th grade to graduation, at least in the sense of having siblings, I was alone. Being alone does not necessarily have to mean being lonely. In this speech, I'll discuss some ways to overcome the loneliness and teach you how to be alone. If at first you're lonely, be patient. If you've not been alone much, or if when you were, you weren't okay with it, then just wait. You'll find it's fine to be alone once you're embracing it. Start with some simple common things. For instance, everybody expects you to be alone in the bathroom. That's your area of safety, I would say. Maybe the coffee house, if you want to go to Starbucks. You're allowed to be alone there, it's accepted. And also the library, you're allowed to be alone. In fact, it's expected to be quiet. You can spend time going through books, smelling them, because they have that certain smell at the library. But after that, you can possibly head to lunch, because when people are on their work breaks, they tend to be alone. Now, once you're more comfortable with being alone, you can maybe take yourself out for dinner and eat how you want. No one's going to think less of you if you use your fingers to lick off the whipped cream. Perhaps, maybe people at group tables would wish that they were where you are. After that, maybe you could go dancing, maybe publicly or privately. Mirrors help there. But maybe the next step would be to entrench yourself in something that is larger than yourself. A church would be a good place. In fact, you're expected to be alone there. No one is going to be looking down on you if you're seeking salvation. But maybe a trip to the woods, a strange city, maybe at this point still, even Lakeland, because not all of us have gotten off campus as much as we would have liked. Or maybe you can go to a new park in the town, because in parks, you can spend your time how you want, freely. Now, a big step to being alone is resisting the urge to be on your cell phone. Culturally, we feel the need to fill time with media. I know a kid, actually my brother's best friend's kid, which is weird to think that our friends are kids, but he spends all of his time on the little PSP or the Game Boy. He spends all of his time on that. It's hard to start a conversation with him. In fact, I feel that because he's alone so often, he's forgotten how to be alone. Multimedia only distracts from loneliness. It cannot cure. Facebook does not cure the soul. Don't look to Facebook for your times of need. Hanging out with a cell phone, iPod, or game device leads to more loneliness eventually. Now, notice I didn't say being alone, it said loneliness. And notice that I didn't say that in this time of being alone, to make friends. I wouldn't say that making friends is always the cure. In fact, maybe sometimes the most therapeutic answer to being alone is to be alone. Accept it, embrace it. Society is afraid of being alone. It can try and force those who are alone to believe that they have a problem if they aren't dating or if they aren't surrounded at all times. That's not how being alone should be looked at. Remember that being alone does not mean being disconnected. Being alone does not mean being disconnected. Because if you're happy in your head, solitude is blessed and alone is okay. In this speech, I've given you some ideas, some basic ideas for what to do when alone. I've shown that alone time does not necessarily need to be longing for outside company. Remember, we've talked about how you can start simply with some simple ideas. Restroom, that's a funny one, but the library, you're supposed to be alone there. take yourself out to dinner and dress up. If you've neglected an art, pick it up again. In this speech, I've shown some basic ideas that being alone isn't necessarily needing company, and that you could be surrounded in a minute if you need it. So spend the time that you've been given to be alone, and let it be lived beautifully. Thank you.
Okay, time?
5:20.
All right, hang on just a minute.